Hey! Hi. How you doing? This is Ryan, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So, Babylon's Fall is just going to cease to exist come February 2023. The game didn't even get to exist for even one single year before being shut down and removed in its entirety. And to top it all off, everyone who purchased the game isn't getting a refund. It's literally Battleborn all over again. A game that didn't need to be always online. A game that didn't need to be built from the ground up to work solely on servers. And now, yet another piece of video game history, no matter how mediocre, is being lost to time forever. What the fuck, man? Now, I'm no super fan of Babylon's Fall or anything. I picked up the game super cheap while it was on sale, and just tried it out. I played through the story campaign, got to the end credits, and I had my fill of it. Is it the worst game ever? Is it the worst game of the year 2022? No. But the game is aggressively mediocre, and is a great deal of wasted potential. The game does have its bright spots. The soundtrack of Babylon's Fall is genuinely fantastic. Seriously, check out the soundtrack. There are some genuinely beautiful pieces there. And I must admit, Babylon's Fall does have some pretty good boss battles. As a matter of fact, the boss battles in Babylon's Fall are so good that it almost feels like you're playing a completely different video game in comparison to the rest of the experience. But alas, Babylon's Fall gained its reputation for a reason. This is easily Platinum Games' worst work yet? Yeah, I think that's fair to say. The story is nonsensical garbage. The characters are all grossly underdeveloped, which is such a shame because the voice acting is actually surprisingly solid. It's such a shame that a genuinely talented cast is given so little to work with. There's the infamous water painting art style that Babylon's Fall goes for, which in concept is actually a really inspired idea. And admittedly, there are times in Babylon's Fall where the environments, some of the set pieces, and characters, particularly the bosses, do look good. Unfortunately, the majority of the time the game looks like ass, with atrocious motion blur that you can't turn off, and some of the most low-resolution, undetailed textures I've ever seen. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a stylized art style. Hell, I encourage it. I love stylized art styles. My game of the year 2022 is going to be Solstice, and that has a stylized art style. My game of the year last year, 2021, was Kena, Bridge of Spirits, and that also has a stylized art style. But you'll also notice with these two games that their textures don't look like ass. In the graphics and visuals department, Babylon's Fall is such a mess. It's all over the place. And then there's the gameplay, the primary culprit for the mediocrity of Babylon's Fall. While the actual melee combat gameplay is perfectly fine, it's serviceable, and there's fun to be had, as proven by the boss battles. But the two lackluster elements that bring down the whole experience are the level design and the combat encounters. The overwhelming majority of Babylon's Fall's levels are just vapid hallways. That's all they are. There are a few outliers, levels that utilize verticality and platforming, and those are the best levels, because at least they provide something interesting, both visually and mechanically, but the majority of Babylon's Fall's levels are just straight hallways. Sure, technically, you're turning right, or you're turning left, or you're going up and down some stairs. But there's no visual variety, there's no alternative paths, there's no little secret areas to explore. There is barely any variety, which is craziness, it's madness, it's insanity, given that this was made by Platinum Games, the same folks who made Bayonetta, Vanquish, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, The Wonderful 101. It's like, you guys know how to make good, interesting, replayable levels. Why could you not do that for Babylon's Fall? Even Platinum Games' other more mediocre titles, they're licensed games, like The Legend of Korra, Transformers Devastation, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan. Despite the shortcomings of those games, they still had great level variety. They also didn't waste your time with just copy-paste hallways over and over again. They got you straight into the action, just arena after arena after arena. But then there's actual combat encounters in those levels, and these are easily the worst combat encounters that Platinum Platinum Games have ever designed and developed for any of their games ever. Again, even their more mediocre licensed titles have better designed combat encounters than Babylon's Fall. Now the thing is, the game actually has a decent variety of enemies, but it never properly utilizes them. The majority of combat encounters are usually 1 or 2 enemy types, with you fighting around 4 to 6 enemies at any given time. And that's the overwhelming majority of encounter design. 1 to 2 different enemy types, and 4 to 6 individual enemies at any given time. Oh, you just defeated 2 swordsmen and 2 archers. Well, now face 2 archers and 2 wolves. Oh, what will you do now? And it's just shit like that, over and over and over again, never fully utilizing the roster of enemies, which again is crazy, given that this is made by Platinum Games, the same folks who made Bayonetta and Vanquish and Metal Gear Rising. It's just, you guys know how to make good enemy encounters. What happened here? None of these issues I'm talking about here have anything to do with Babylon's Fall being a live service. You can have good enemy combat encounter design, you can have creative varied level design, and still be a live service. This isn't a live service issue. This is the developers were uninspired and borderline lazy issue. I have played indie video games developed by smaller teams with less money and less time available for development craft far better video games with far better level designs and combat encounters than what Platinum Games did with Babylon's Fall. It's a damn shame, man. It's a damn shame to see Platinum Games make these creative choices. Make no mistake, these were creative choices. No doubt there was influence from Square Enix to make it always online and server-based and a live service, etc., etc. But Square Enix, despite their bad influence, is still just the publisher. Platinum Games still decided to tell this story in these levels with these combat encounters. That's not to say that Babylon's Fall didn't have potential, and still does, even now, have potential, if it was given a chance to be updated and reworked. Again, the soundtrack is phenomenal. The boss battles are genuinely great. They're a ton of fun. Babylon's Fall does have its bright spots. So despite its failings, it doesn't deserve to just be erased from history like Battleborn was. All that time, all that hard work spent developing this game, gone to complete waste, just thrown away into oblivion. I can't believe this is happening again to another AAA video game, when this doesn't even need to be happening. Just like with Battleborn, it is completely within the realm of possibility to rework and retool Babylon's Fall so it could be played offline single player. There's no reason for this game to be always online. The game doesn't even have PvP, for fuck's sakes. There's no player versus player multiplayer. It's strictly single player and co-op. So why in the fucking hell was this game built on a foundation of requiring servers? It doesn't make sense, man. I don't understand what Platinum Games or Square Enix were thinking. They just assumed that the game would be massively successful and have a massive player base and the game would pay for itself. Like, why would you assume this? Oh my god, all these fucking publishers and developers making online-only video games and just assuming they'll be successful, just assuming they'll have a player base to sustain the product. Why are we all just blatantly ignoring the failures of the past? It doesn't make any sense. Making online-only video games that require dedicated servers is a mistake, straight up. You can make online-only video games, but don't make them require dedicated servers. At the very least, allow the option for peer-to-peer and user-created servers. This isn't out of the realm of possibility. Damn it, man. It's such a shame to see another video game share the exact same fate as Battleborn. Just deleted, erased, removed. Like it or not, despite the many shortcomings and failings of Babylon's Fall, it's still a piece of art that should be preserved. It's a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, that yet another piece of video game history is being lost forever. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it whatsoever. Well, I guess goodbye, Babylon's Fall. I'm glad I played you when I did. You have a fantastic soundtrack and some awesome boss battles, and I'm glad I was able to experience them. Oh yeah, and fuck you, Square Enix, you fucking crooks. Not even offering any sort of option for consumers to get a refund after you shut this thing down. This shit should be illegal, and I'm surprised it's not. Anyways, that's been a video. Thank you for watching. If you did indeed like the video, please be sure to hit the like button. If you want to help out and support the video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook. If you want to help out and support me directly, please consider making a donation via YouTube Super Thanks, or making a donation via the link to my Buy Me a Coffee page in the description down below. Anyways, once again, that's been a video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.